Ayush, it's an honor to have you here. Mr. Ayush is not just a practicing advocate in Jharkhand High Court, he is a legal visionary with a passion of intellectual property and a public awareness. Sir, can you tell us briefly about what is intellectual property?
So, see, intellectual properties are properties that are made out of your intellect, making things more simple. Let's say I come up with a video. For example, now you taking my interview, I giving answers to your question. This whole creation is the creation of our intellect. You have drafted these questions. I am answering these questions based on my experiences and my intellect. So this is a form of creating content. So that any content which is made by your intellect is an intellectual property. But to properly fall in the domain of intellectual property, that the creation, let's say for example an invention, let's say for an example an content, let's say for example plant breed, because we have got a different specific act that actually protects various kind of plant varieties and farmers' right in terms of intellectual property. So anything that is an output of your intellect, of your experiences clubbed together, is intellectual property.
Okay, sir. Sir, can you tell us why we should celebrate World Intellectual Day and why it is important for the institution like us?
Okay, so World IP Day was started by WIPO, the international parent organization that actually makes standard norms, treaties, regulations for recognizing intellectual property. So WIPO India 2000 came up with this idea of where people get an opportunity to talk about intellectual properties, to spread awareness about intellectual property. How can you protect your intellectual property in a better way? How can you recognize your intellectual property in a better way? So with this idea, the concept of celebrating World IP Day came into picture. Now, why it is important for an institution like this to celebrate World IP Day is because universities, institutions are a point where good inventions, good contents are created. They are a very large stakeholders when it comes to protection or creation of IP, who actually deserve protection and who actually can avail protection as laid down under various IP laws in India. So it's a great initiative that institutions, universities like Usha Martin have taken this initiative of celebrating World IP Day.
Sir, can you tell us how do you see IP laws protecting the rights of content creators?
So majorly the IP rights of content creators can be protected under the Copyrights Act, because copyright acts protect expressions. Expression is form of literary, artistic works and performing works and other such works. Even computer programs are actually protected under Copyrights Act in India. So any code that are written are protected in copyright. So coming back to content creators, so content creator is a broad domain. When we specifically come to video creators, so any performer performing a video, his rights are protected under Copyright Act. Any author writing a literary work, his rights are protected under Copyright Act. The only requirement for a content creator to get IP protection is that his work should be original. And that is one thing that the content creator needs, that to avail the IP protection under Copyrights Act, and he can avail the protection of copyright.
Sir, can you tell me the difference between copyright, trademarks and patent?
Okay, so I'll tell you this difference in a very simple way through an example. We all carry mobile phones. Now, when we say mobile phone, let's say that mobile phone, I'm not at all advertising any brands here, but when we say a mobile phone, let's say my mobile phone is of Samsung. So the word Samsung, that's the company name, it's a brand name. It is protected under Trademarks Act. Now let's say there is a new phone For example, Samsung foldable phones. So that is a new invention because earlier phones were foldable, but screen and keypad fold together, that made a foldable phone. But today, Samsung come with phones which are foldable and it has no keypads. So basically, the screens are foldable. That technology used by Samsung to make foldable phones is patentable. Now we say copyright. So when we say copyright, the brand name is protected under trademark. The technology is protected by patents. The program through which the software installed in the phone were written, let's say any language of computer, C++, I am not a technology expert, but whatever language used by the software programmers to write that particular code of any software running in Samsung phone, that particular code can be protected under copyright. So this is the difference between trademark, copyright and patents. Now I'll give you a very interesting example where IPs actually overlap each other. So Samsung word can be trademarked as well as it can be given protection or copyright also. For example, the artistic way of writing Samsung, the logo of the Samsung can be copyrighted as well as trademarked. So at times, a very few times, but yes, IP protections at times overlap each other. So there are very clear distinction between IPs, but there may be times where IP rights or two different IP protections overlap each other.
What are the things people should keep in mind to avoid violating IP laws?
Okay, so this is little difficult for a person who is not in regular keeping a check on what is the new IP that has been granted. But in general, the companies who are working in patent, they are very much careful about coming up with inventions which are already patented. There are teams in those companies which actually maintain IP portfolios. They keep on check on the competitors' IP portfolio. They maintain their own IP portfolio. They keep on doing IP audits of their own system and everything. So that is how big companies can keep a check on that. For small content creators, authors, writers, we should always they should always be careful that they may be inspired of some work, but they still need to induce some creativity into their work, which will actually give their work little distinction from the others' work. So in that case, their work can be protected and they can be told to be original or noble. So it is little tough for individual creators to always keep a check whether, let's say I am writing a poem today. Maybe in my subconscious mind there is a poem that I read 10 years, 20 years back. So it is very difficult to say that whether that poem is inspired from that poem or not, because it is there in my subconscious mind. I may have written a modified version of that poem. In that case, if you have not induced too much of modification or creativity, you need to give due credits to the previous author or the content creator. If you feel that no, I have given enough of creativity, I have taken a different stand, I have brought more originality from the previous work, then in that case you need not, that's your own copyrighted work, you can claim your own IP on that work. So that's how content creators can keep a check on their creations and how they not fall into the problem of infringing somebody's IP. For students or content creators, I would suggest that they should keep themselves updated. There are platforms, there are organizations in Ranchi like Startup Jharkhand. It's an organization started by a few of young minds, young people who facilitate new content creators or who facilitate young startups and students, that they make them aware about their IP rights. People should keep on attending such seminars, conferences where IP rights are being discussed, and such occasions where they can talk someone from any of the experts from the field and know about their IP rights or how they can protect their IP rights.
So in that case, people are will be well aware about their IP rights. And that is one suggestion I would like to give to the new content creator or students who are actually young budding minds and creating content every day and in a process and are always in process of doing something new.
Thank you, sir, for giving us an insightful knowledge about intellectual property. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.